5 years ago, I self-published a book called Together Alone, Drawings of Unity and Solitude. This is a front cover, and this is a back cover. It's basically a collection of 40 black and white drawings that explore the theme of being together and alone, and how one can feel together while being completely alone, and how one can feel alone while with other people. The drawings from the first part of the book were done in the Czech Republic between the years of 1995 and 1996. And the drawings from the second part of the book were done in Ridgewood, New Jersey, or New York City, between 2008 and 2009. The book is dedicated to my 3 children, Olympia, Calder, and Miles, who are now 15, 13, and 6. The first drawing in the book is the image that appears on the cover. It's of a man meditating, and he's been meditating for so long that his nails have grown together. I think this image came from my looking at Guinness Books of World Records when I was a kid, and seeing the images of people who had grown their nails the longest, which always kind of freaked me out. It's also because I look at drawing as meditation, and I think there's something very monkish about drawing. Personally, I draw the best when I'm alone, and I haven't drawn recently because I'm not alone anymore. This is a picture of a friend. This is a picture commenting on the craftsmen of the Czech Republic when I lived there, and how there are these beautiful cobblestone streets, and at the same time there's a lot of ugly asphalt streets, and how this is kind of a craft that's dying. I draw men with beards a lot, and I draw dogs a lot, and I don't know why, because I have neither. But this was a character I kind of created. It's a man who's merged with his dog through his beard. Or it could just be a man with a crazy beard, or a dog who's got a very imaginative tail. I once used this in a graphic novel where the dog spoke English and the man just barked. And this is an interesting drawing. I think it's self-explanatory, so I won't speak about it. And this is a picture I did of people in Eastern Europe who had very little money but had a very solid family. This is a picture I did about the kind of liberty of man once he can do his own chores, such as ironing, which I do. This is a picture I did of a woman in Polish folk dress going to the well, and instead of retrieving the hook for her bucket, she finds a coal miner, which, as you know, is a big industry in Poland. Someone else saw this years later and thought it was a woman sending her husband down to work, which I actually like much more. This is a picture of a man who's warming up his mittens in the toaster before he goes out in the cold. This is a picture I did of a man who's begging for money and looking over, and he sees just a hand, and it's supposed to be a commentary on how you should be appreciative of what you have, and it's always somebody who's worse off than you. In this case, it's just a hand left over. This was a picture I did thinking of my grandfather, my mother's father, and I pictured the birds lining up to eat from him instead of the mass chaos that you usually see with pigeons. And this is a variation on that I did later of the bread line with a little man waiting in line. This is a picture I did when I was living in northern Czech about how the men did very little work and how the women did all the domestic chores. At the time I did this, I was working in a zoo, and I was working with giraffes. And so the way we fed giraffes was we had to cut down trees from outside, and then we put them on something like an elevated Christmas tree stand, which added another 8 feet or so of height for the giraffe. So it was as if the giraffe was eating from a tall tree. And this is a picture I did before I had a family, but it was kind of about that simple domesticity, about sitting around the table and sharing something together. This is one of my favorite pictures because I like that it has a sense of time to it. It's as if you can look at it and you know, the snail is going so slow down the slide that you're kind of watching him. It's almost animated because it's so slow. And I also like it because it's the snail having fun, because he's going a little bit faster than he usually goes. So he might be gleefully screaming inside with joy. This was a picture I did of a priest, and I don't know why. I'm not a religious person, but I think I did it because I like the idea of these stained glass window glasses through which he sees the world. There were a lot of people smoking where I lived in the Czech Republic, so this is kind of commentary on smoking. And this is about somebody who is not getting the affection and attention she wants, and how she presents herself with something that cheers her up. This was just about people doing things backwards. I put this drawing in the book because a friend of mine really liked vampires, and she asked me to put a picture of vampires in the book. Unfortunately, I had one. This is of a vampire hanging up his bats for the evening. And this is a drawing I did. I did this for a series of poems I was writing, and this is about a former USSR gymnast who is now a nurse. This is someone just minding their own business and going along in life while there's actually great activity going on around her. And here we see two poodles dancing in some kind of ink blot test image. Here are two snails that got tired of living alone in their own shells and are shacking up. This is about a relationship, and a relationship which seems cheery and seems like it's going to last forever, but you see from this sense of melting time that it's not going to last. And I guess it's true of a lot of people's relationships, where people from the outside looking at them can see how it's going to turn out, but the people who are in love are so in love and they don't realize that they are skating on thin ice or skating on this surface that's just going to disappear and things won't go so smoothly. This is a drawing I'm not crazy about drawing wise, but a lot of people like it. It's of parents who are kind of making a bridge for their kids to go from one point of life to another. This is the last drawing in the book from the mid-1990s. It's of a Dalmatian, and I do so many line drawings that I think I just wanted to get rid of the line, and I just wanted to work with the dots of the Dalmatian. And this is one of the newer drawings. These were done quickly, more quickly, and with just simple lines. But this is of a dog who's kind of run away. His leash is still there, and it's kind of a imaginative leash. And here the drawings get a little bit more of dark humor. You know, is this a bear who's spending the night with a camper, or is it a bear who's eaten the camper and sleeping there after consuming him? This is a drawing I did for a journal. It was actually about an author. I like this. This is of a man who writes about romance, and it's using the book as the tent. This is probably one of the weirdest drawings, but that's fine. It's basically about the brain going out for a walk or going out to look at the full moon. It's about the brain actually leaving the body to have a dream experience. And this is the drawing that my daughter, who's now 15, who was 10 at the time, asked me to do for this book. She said, why don't you do a drawing of a sailor who sees a woman being eaten by a large fish, and that he falls in love with her because he thinks she's a mermaid. But she's really just calling for help and not calling to him like a siren. When I was drawing in New York City, I was drawing at the Hudson branch of the New York Public Library, and I was drawing in this back room that was kind of like a homeless shelter. There were a couple people in there reading magazines, but most of the people in there were homeless men. And sometimes I would sit between them at a wooden desk and just draw. And I liked it because they were very quiet. No one bothered me. No one was looking at my drawings. So this drawing was kind of a shout out to them, the drunk homeless men that were there. This kind of trap that they get in. This was a drawing I did for a poster for a Czech art show that I was in. And this was supposed to be about women artists and how no matter how elevated they get, they still are looked at as having kind of a female role. So this is a woman who's a painter, but she's just seen basically as using her paintbrush as a mop to clean something up. And this was another one. This is kind of the old school Czech man with his beer and a newspaper, and his wife is a sculptor who's trying to chisel him out so he can do something for her. And this was a strange one. And I don't know what I think about it anymore, but it was basically of a man going off to work, probably a Polish man with his lunch prepared there, and his wife, who usually stays home, decides to follow him in this little outfit she's made to fit in. And this is a strange drawing for me because usually I don't draw this stage of an idea, and I'll show you what I mean on the next drawing, but this was the first idea I had, and usually I throw away the first idea, but it's basically the old man in the sea who gets his fish, and you get your girlfriend or whatever that relationship is, and now that you have it, so what? And so this is the old man gets his fish, and this fish is depressed and wants to go back. It's kind of a unsatisfying relationship. And so this is what became of the drawing when I continued thinking about what that drawing could be. And this goes back to the bear in the tent. This is kind of is it a octopus rowing a boat, or did the octopus eat the person in the boat? It's just kind of a mysterious drawing. And this is the last picture in the book of the therapist who joins his patient on the couch. So I made books, and also I had these drawings in the show at the library, actually in the room that I was drawing in the library. So all along the walls, there were 40 framed drawings in that room for 2 months. And this was just a write-up that they did about it and posted on the New York Public Library website. So I haven't done much in terms of drawing since then, but I've done a few drawings, so I thought I would just show you a couple more. When I originally planned that book, I was going to follow Together Alone with a book called Still Waiting, and I had a collection of drawings I had already assembled even when I was doing the other book, of pictures of people and things waiting, and being still while waiting. So this is a woman at the bus stop who's waited so long for the bus that a spider has been able to make a spider web between her and the bus stop sign. And then there was a little bug series I did, kind of in silhouette. This is a butterfly washing and drying and hanging up her wings on the clothesline. I'm a big clothesline fan, so you'll see a lot of clotheslines in my work. And here's a bug going on a business trip. He's loaded up the trunk of the beetle. This is kind of a European scene, perhaps, or a city scene at least. The socialite butterfly with her little cappuccino, and the kind of stinky bug over in the corner with his beer, checking her out. And how, while they're both bugs, he's got no chance. And this was a series I started, which I like the theme of. It was about relationships of people. And here's a couple that are working as janitors, and husband and wife, and the man holds up his broom and has this kind of elitist mustache, and she flops up the mop over her head and has this kind of Egyptian headdress on. And this is a drawing about technology and how it's kind of an old couple. I kind of pictured it as two friends, two guys, and they're kind of living past their era. Here we have a antenna, TV, and you have a boom box, and in this internet age there's not much place for them, so one's about to jump off the ledge and the boom box is trying to save his friend there. And this is a drawing about passion, this very dapper couple, and his hands are just on fire for her. This was actually a drawing that my friend there on the right asked me to do. She had met her guy and was planning a life with him, and he played guitar and was a pilot. So she asked me to do a drawing to give him for his birthday. So I did this with him kind of pulling up to a cloud with his plane and then having a picnic there while he sang and played guitar for her. And this was 5 years ago, and they're still together, so it worked out. This is kind of like the butterfly and the beetle at the cafe scene. In this case, it's dog related, and as we know, people and their dogs are pretty similar creatures. And here we have a kind of a lady with her poodle and kind of a rough guy riding his dog. And here's a woman ironing her husband. I posted this on Facebook and someone said there must be a massage parlor like that somewhere. I was drawing this at the library, and I think I was just trying to take a theme, something silly like pickles, and make a drawing from it. And how can you make a drawing about something as inanimate as a pickle and give it character and give it a relationship? And here you see these two pickles who are sleeping on a sandwich with a little blanket of Swiss cheese and lettuce and tomatoes as pillows. And this was a drawing I did of the older couple that are shopping together. No one's really helping them or taking care of them, but they're making do. So they walk over to the item they want, and the man knocks it down with his cane, and the lady scoops it up in her dress, and they drop it in the cart. It's about sticking it out together. And here are two fish that are taking a smoking break from being fish. And this is like the pickle drawing where I was trying to think of how can you do a drawing about a piece of paper that would be interesting. So here you see a man who's made his paper airplane and is flying away on it from his desk job. Oh, and here are the puppies. These puppies are the ones that their owner put down newspaper for them so they don't pee on the floor, and here they are reading it. It's kind of the evolution of pets. And this is that elevated feeling you have when you're reading a good book in bed. And this is how I feel sometimes when I come home at the end of the day after working in New York City. And sometimes the drawing is just silly and I draw it and I don't know why I draw it. These were actually posted on a blog site that I had that I don't maintain called Not a Word. And the point of that was just to have the drawings without any kind of description or explanation for them. And here's one of the last drawings. Is it the captain looking for the white whale that's on it? Or is it the captain that's befriended the whale looking for something else, for the next thing? And the last drawing here is dedicated to a snail I had at work. And we put it in my coworker's fish tank, and it died. It was kind of envisioning what would happen if you flushed it down the toilet and it survived. And it went out to sea in Mexico somewhere and found an old VW bug and used that for its shell.